I used to feel every room I entered. Now I barely cast a shadow. 73 winters behind me. My body is slower. My voice carries less weight. I live in a creaking house at the far edge of the city, not broken, just tired. Like me. The curtains hang heavy, not for warmth, but for privacy. No one visits. Not anymore. My children, God bless their ambition, are too busy being important to remember whose hands once held them through fevered nights. My grandchildren send birthday messages now, voice notes that feel pre-recorded. Love you, Grandpa. With emojis. Always emojis. At the grocery store, I ask a question, the cashier doesn't even look up. At the clinic, they speak around me, not to me. He probably doesn't understand. Just give him the paperwork. The nurse smiles in that hollow way people do when they think you've forgotten what dignity feels like. I haven't. My days are clockwork. Tea at 6. News at 8, muted. The volume died long before I did. A plaid blanket. An old notebook. My thoughts, now my only company. The city roars beyond these walls, but in here, silence. But silence isn't emptiness. Sometimes it's a cocoon. You see, they all believe I faded. That I've crumbled into the wallpaper of life. An irrelevant relic of a world that doesn't need men like me anymore. Maybe I even started to believe it myself. For a while. But something changed. It didn't happen suddenly, more like a quiet tightening. A breath held too long. A slow, burning itch behind the ribs. It started with a memory. A whisper of who I once was. Then another. And another. And then, one day, I looked into the mirror, not at the lines, not at the white stubble, not at the sag of skin, but through them. And I saw the man they think is dead. Still here. Just quiet. I drink my tea, but my hands no longer tremble. I wear the same cardigan, but my back no longer bends. They see a ghost. But I'm something else. Not a man broken. A man waiting. They stopped looking at me. That was their mistake. Because you can't see what hides in the dark. Not until it moves. And I'm starting to move. They don't remember. But I do. Before they learned to walk, I had already bled for them. I wasn't born into comfort. I made it. With grit under my nails and fire in my chest. I built something from nothing, not with charm or inheritance, but with hours no one saw and choices no one dared to make. I remember standing in the rain in '92, soaked to the bone, signing loan papers with shaking hands, just to keep our business alive. I remember pawning my father's watch, the last thing I had of him, so my son could stay in college. He never knew. I never told him. It was my job to protect, not to explain. Back then, people feared me, not because I was cruel, but because I was capable. Because when shit hit the fan, I didn't flinch. I didn't blink. I solved. I fixed messes grown men ran from. I was the man who showed up. I negotiated contracts while partners tried to undercut me. I rebuilt after betrayals. I carried employees through recessions. When others jumped ship, I held the damn wheel. For the sake of the people. For the name. For the future. My wife used to look at me like I was the axis the world spun around. Not with fear. With trust. That look is gone now. Faded into silence, just like everything else. She speaks to me kindly. Like you speak to a patient. Or a patient child. They all act like I've been reduced. Diminished. But what they've mistaken for weakness is simply restraint. I once moved people like chess pieces. Not cruelly. Precisely. I knew how to motivate, how to control a room without raising my voice. Influence, not volume, that was my currency. Now the phone doesn't ring. Emails are just bank statements and spam. Birthdays go unmentioned unless I mention them first. They forgot the sacrifices. The late nights. The blood. The loyalty I gave without ledger. But forgetting is a luxury I don't allow myself. Their lives, these polished, curated shells, are built on my shoulders. They drive cars I made possible. Sit in meetings I once prepared them for. They speak in terms I taught them, quoting wisdom they think they found on their own. And yet, I am no longer invited to the table. Not even out of pity. But here's the thing they've never understood. You can survive many things in life. Failure. Loss. Pain. But the one thing no man should ever underestimate is being forgotten by those you made possible. Because that kind of forgetting doesn't breed sorrow. It breeds something darker. Something sharper. Something with memory. And I remember everything. It's never the big betrayals that change a man. It's the little ones. The ones that pretend to be nothing at all. Last week, I called my son. Just to say hello. His assistant picked up, some sharp-tongued girl with a nasal laugh. "Oh, Mr. Hale is in a meeting." She paused. "Can I take a message?" I said, "Tell him it's his father." A longer pause this time. The kind that drips with discomfort. "He'll call you back." He didn't. 2 days later, I saw him on television, smiling, shaking hands at a summit. Speeches about legacy. About gratitude. He never once looked toward the camera. But I did. Then there's my grandson. The youngest one, Ethan. Just turned 23. I asked him to help me reset the Wi-Fi router. He looked at me like I'd asked him to solve world hunger. Rolled his eyes. Said, "It's not that hard, Grandpa." Took the remote, muttered something under his breath. I caught one word. Useless. He didn't say it to my face. But he said it near it. That's worse somehow. The doctor, a man half my age with breath like stale coffee, tapped his tablet while I spoke. Didn't even raise his eyes when I asked about the new meds. "I'm sure it's fine. We'll keep an eye on you." We. There's no we. Just me, and the pills, and the slow drip of neglect. At the pharmacy, my hands trembled just enough to drop a paper bag. It split. Pills scattered across the floor like cheap candy. A woman passed. Looked down at me. And kept walking. I remember every face. Every tone. Every said through clenched teeth. Every "we'll get to you in a moment." Every time they reached past me in a line. Every time they talked around me in a room. They think I'm deaf. I'm not. They think I'm slow. I'm not. They think I'm invisible. I'm not. I am watching. And writing. I keep a journal now. Not a diary. No emotions, no poetry, just facts. Names. Dates. Places. Phrases. Patterns. Every slight catalogued. Every insult marked. I have 26 entries so far. Some from strangers. Some from blood. Some from people who once called me mentor. They think I'm harmless because I don't argue. Because I nod. Because I forget where I put my glasses. But I've never forgotten anything that matters. And now, nothing matters more than this. They will see themselves. Not the polished versions. Not the curated personas they parade for likes and promotions. They will see the core. The rot beneath the gloss. And when that moment comes, it won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It will be undeniable. Just like the pain they made me swallow. One small bite at a time. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember, because Tuesdays used to mean something: lunch with old colleagues, board meetings, decisions that mattered. Now, they're just another page on a calendar no one checks. I was carrying 2 plastic bags. Cheap ones, the kind that slice your fingers. It was cold. The wind cut sideways. I should have taken the cab, but I wanted to feel the ground. Wanted to move. The back toe first. Then my ankle twisted. I went down slow, like a falling tree, knees scraping concrete. Oranges rolled into the street. A bottle of soap cracked open like a split skull. People passed. Some slowed. Most didn't. One man laughed, not loudly, but enough. And then someone said it. Just leave him. He's no one. No one. That's when it happened. Something in me cracked, not with noise, but with clarity. Like a fog suddenly lifting. Not rage. Not sorrow. Focus. I stood up slowly. I looked around. Every face blurred, but every voice burned into memory. They thought the old man fell. What they didn't see was what rose. At home, I moved without speaking. Without thinking. A quiet, deliberate rhythm I hadn't felt in years. I went to the study. Opened the cabinet behind the bookshelf. The combination lock still worked, muscle memory never forgets its numbers. Inside, a dusty black binder, an old Nokia phone, 2 USB drives, one key with no label, and a list of names I hadn't looked at in over a decade. People I helped. People I saved. People who owed. And people who forgot. I plugged in the drives. Backups from old audits, memos, messages, the kind no one expects you to keep. I scrolled through folders labeled in code only I understood. Then I picked up the phone. Not the iPhone. The other one. The real one. The burner. 7 numbers. Then silence. Then a voice, cautious but alert. Spencer. I said nothing. Just one breath. You're alive, he whispered. I need a favor, I said. And just like that, the game was back on. See, they forgot who I was. They forgot that I didn't just play the game, I helped write it. That I taught men how to build their masks. And how to burn them when the time came. I still had accounts. Hidden ones. I still had passwords, leverage, black files locked in old servers. I still knew where the bones were buried, because I helped dig half the graves. And now, one by one, the strings are pulling taut again. This isn't revenge. This is realignment. The predator in me never died. He just sat. Patient. Waiting for the heart to forget. They forgot. And now? They learn. Vengeance isn't loud. It's not fire or fist or broken glass. It's precision. It's quiet fingers typing an email that unravels a lie. It's a file slid into the right inbox at the wrong time. It's a whisper that changes a man's future. I began with my son. He had a position he didn't earn. CEO of a firm I once helped rescue from collapse. I knew where the bodies were, metaphorical and otherwise. Ghost invoices. A hidden fund. A signature he shouldn't have forged, long buried in the paperwork. I didn't expose him. Not directly. I leaked the documents, carefully, anonymously, to a journalist he once ghosted on a podcast request. The headline hit within days. Corruption in Hale Holdings. The board panicked. He wasn't fired, not immediately. But the press conference said everything. Stepping down to focus on family. I smiled. He never called. Next was Ethan, the grandson with the smirk. He was on the cusp of a sponsorship deal with a tech startup. Clean image. Rising influencer. All curated. All fake. I sent a video. Just one. From a college party he thought forgotten. It wasn't illegal. But it was ugly. The kind of thing that kills careers not with outrage, but with disappointment. Sponsors vanished within 48 hours. Comments disabled. Apology issued. Reputation cracked. He doesn't post anymore. I've touched 5 lives now. Quietly. Cleanly. Each like a domino. I never sign my name. Never show my face. But I hear them speaking of me. Not directly, never directly. But in their tones. Their nervous glances. They feel me in the absence. In what's missing. At home, the silence grows, but now it's not lonely. It's powerful. They start calling. My daughter. My nephew. Even the lawyer I once mentored and who now has something to lose. They leave voicemails. Long ones. Dad. I think we should talk. Uncle Spencer, I miss our conversations. I was thinking of stopping by. But I don't answer. Why would I? For years, I was noise to them. Background static. Now, my silence is thunder. Every room they walk into, they wonder if I've been there first. They audit their own lives. They flinch at shadows. Good. I don't want apologies. I want recognition. Not from the world, from them. From those who built their lives atop mine and called it independence. This isn't cruelty. This is a mirror. I simply held it up. They thought I was gone. But I'm everywhere now. In the cracks. In the emails. In the whispers behind closed doors. I became unavoidable. And I did it without raising my voice. Because when a man truly knows who he is, he doesn't need to shout to make the world tremble. The house is quiet tonight. Not the lonely quiet I once drowned in, this silence is chosen. Owned. It wraps around me like armor, not chains. I sit in my chair by the window, notebook on my lap, pen balanced in my fingers that no longer shake. They came today. All of them. My children, my grandchildren, even the distant relatives who forgot how to pronounce my name unless they needed something signed. They gathered in my living room like penitents in a chapel, but none dared to call it what it was. Fear. Respect. Or just the dread that comes when you finally see the cracks in your own reflection. My son stood first. Tie crooked. Sleepless eyes. A man stripped of the illusions he once wore like medals. Dad, we need to talk. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. My silence made him tremble more than my voice ever could. My daughter shifted beside him, wringing her hands. She tried to speak 3 times before finding words. We haven't been present. And we want to make it right. Make it right. Strange how people remember morality only when the floor beneath them starts to give way. The grandchildren didn't speak at all. They just looked at me, really looked, for the first time in their lives. As if trying to understand the man they'd edited out of their world. I didn't give them forgiveness. I didn't give them condemnation either. I gave them something far more unsettling. Nothing. A simple, measured gaze. Steady. Unblinking. A reminder that I am no longer the man they thought could be dismissed, ignored, shelved like last year's calendar. They left quieter than they arrived, whispering among themselves as though afraid the walls, my walls, would repeat their secrets back to me. When the door closed behind them, I finally exhaled. But I wasn't relieved. I wasn't vindicated. I wasn't triumphant. I was complete. This was never about revenge. Not really. It was about truth. About forcing them to confront the memories they buried, the debts they pretended didn't exist, the man they decided had expired before his heartbeat did. Tonight, I open my notebook. Turn to the last page. The ink glides easily, as if it, too, knows this is the sentence I've been moving toward all along. Old age isn't weakness. It is the final clarity, the season when masks fall away, and only truth remains. I close the notebook gently. No one will thank me. No one will ever know what I did. But they will never again dare to look through me. Not because I frightened them. But because they finally saw me. Not as a relic. Not as a burden. Not as a fading echo. But as a man who remembers. A man who watches. A man who still holds the power they thought time had stolen. And power, once awakened, never truly sleeps again.
Subscribe and like this video, more interesting revenge stories of elderly people coming soon.